Welcome to my channel. In this video, we'll dive into the fascinating and controversial story of the Panama Canal. From its strategic importance to global trade and geopolitics to why former President Trump believes the U.S. should reclaim it, we'll explore the historical and modern conflicts surrounding this vital waterway. Stay tuned as we unravel the canal's history, its role in shaping nations, and the potential challenges ahead. Let's get started. In a recent conference, President-elect Donald Trump made a bold statement, declaring that the United States will demand the return of the Panama Canal. Addressing Panamanian officials, he said, "Please be guided accordingly." Unsurprisingly, this remark sparked a strong reaction from Panama's president, who issued an official response. "As president, I want to make it absolutely clear that every square meter of the Panama Canal and its surrounding areas belongs to Panama and will remain so." Trump's comments risk reigniting a decades-long dispute between the two nations over one of the world's most strategically significant waterways. The United States, which built the canal, relinquished control under a 1977 treaty, with Panama gaining full sovereignty in 1999. Just recently, Panama celebrated the 25th anniversary of this historic handover. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and watch the video until the end. Adding another layer of complexity to the issue is China's growing influence in Panama. Beijing's deepening economic and political ties with the country have raised eyebrows in Washington, with Trump accusing Panama of violating the treaty by allowing China to gain a foothold. According to the agreement, no foreign nation can operate the canal or establish military bases in Panama. This video explores why Trump wants the canal back, the historical significance of this engineering marvel, and the potential lengths he might go to achieve this goal. As far back as the 16th century, explorers recognized Panama's strategic potential as a link between the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. A glance at the map reveals why. A narrow strip of land separates the Caribbean Sea to the north from the Pacific Ocean to the south. By the time global trade networks began to flourish, the demand for a canal grew. Traversing the southern tip of South America was not only time-consuming but also treacherous. However, building a canal through Panama was no easy feat. The two oceans are separated by 50 miles, 80 kilometers, of challenging terrain, including the Culebra Cut, a formidable ridge standing 360 feet, 110 meters, high. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and watch the video until the end. In the mid-19th century, the United States opted for a practical interim solution. The Panama Railroad. Opened in 1855, it allowed goods to be transported from one coast to the other without enduring the perilous sea journey around South America. While the railway was crucial for U.S. development, especially for western states like California, the idea of constructing a canal remained elusive. The U.S. initially favored Nicaragua, a country with less challenging geography. Nicaragua's Lake Nicaragua and San Juan River presented a natural route for a canal, and its government was deemed more reliable than Colombia, which controlled Panama at the time. However, political instability in Nicaragua and British influence in the region stalled any progress. By 1881, French engineers and investors, buoyed by their success with Egypt's Suez Canal, turned their attention to Panama. The Suez Canal, completed in 1869, revolutionized global trade by linking the Mediterranean to the Red Sea. Many believed the Panama Canal could achieve similar success. A French company, backed by $287 million in investments, equivalent to billions today, secured an agreement with Colombia to begin construction. But the project was plagued by disasters. Panama's tropical environment, rampant diseases like malaria, and the immense challenges of excavation led to its ultimate failure. It wasn't until the early 20th century that the U.S. stepped in, determined to complete the canal. Through a combination of engineering innovation, political maneuvering, and sheer determination, the Panama Canal opened in 1914, drastically reducing the travel distance between the U.S. coasts by 8,000 nautical miles, 15,000 kilometers. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into the modern-day implications of this historic waterway and the potential fallout from Trump's bold demands. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more in-depth analysis. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and watch the video until the end. The Panama Canal has long been a symbol of engineering excellence and geopolitical importance, a waterway that has shaped global trade, regional dynamics, and international relations for over a century. Yet, the canal's history is steeped in controversy, marked by monumental achievements, tragic losses, and fierce debates about sovereignty. Today, the canal finds itself at the center of yet another political storm, as Donald Trump's recent remarks have reignited discussions about its ownership and management. During a conference, Trump boldly asserted that the United States should reclaim the Panama Canal, stating, "We will demand that the Panama Canal be returned to the United States." This declaration was met with a sharp rebuttal from Panama's president, who insisted, "Every square meter of the Panama Canal and its surrounding areas belongs to Panama and will remain so." Trump's statement taps into a deep historical tension, echoing debates that seemed settled with the 1977 Panama Canal Treaty, which granted Panama full sovereignty over the canal following a 20-year transition period. Trump's claims are grounded in the belief that Panama has violated the treaty, particularly with its growing ties to China. In recent years, Beijing has significantly increased its influence in Panama through economic investments and political engagement. Trump and his supporters argue that such actions breach the Neutrality Treaty, which prohibits foreign nations from operating the canal or establishing military installations in Panama. Additionally, Trump has criticized Panama's management of the canal, accusing the country of inefficiency and excessive tolls, which he claims undermine the principles outlined in the 1977 agreement. To understand the present conflict, one must delve into the canal's storied history. As early as the 16th century, explorers and colonial powers recognized Panama's strategic importance as a narrow strip of land connecting the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. The concept of a canal gained traction in the 19th century, driven by the rise of global trade networks and the dangers of navigating around South America. Early efforts to construct the canal were fraught with challenges. The French attempted to build a sea-level canal in the 1880s, inspired by their success with the Suez Canal. However, the harsh tropical climate, rampant diseases like malaria and yellow fever, and the formidable terrain of Panama led to a catastrophic failure. Over 22,000 workers died, and the project ultimately bankrupted the French company behind it. The United States took up the mantle in the early 20th century under the leadership of President Theodore Roosevelt. After negotiating Panama's independence from Colombia, an act historians widely regard as U.S. orchestrated, the U.S. secured rights to the canal zone and began construction. American engineers adopted a more sophisticated approach, creating an artificial lake and a lock system to navigate Panama's challenging topography. Despite significant setbacks, including deadly landslides and disease outbreaks, the canal was completed in 1914. It quickly became one of the world's most vital waterways, reducing the travel distance between the U.S. coasts by 8,000 nautical miles and facilitating global trade. For decades, the canal remained under U.S. control, but tensions with Panama grew as the local population viewed the arrangement as unfair. The anti-colonialism movements of the 20th century amplified these grievances, culminating in the signing of the Panama Canal Treaty by President Jimmy Carter in 1977. This landmark agreement transferred control of the canal to Panama, with specific provisions to ensure its neutrality and accessibility. Today, Trump's assertion that the canal's management has deviated from these principles raises significant questions. While Panama has celebrated its sovereignty and the economic benefits of operating the canal, its partnership with China complicates the picture. Beijing's growing presence in Panama aligns with its broader strategy of expanding influence through infrastructure investments, such as its Belt and Road Initiative. Critics argue that these ties could undermine the canal's neutrality, granting China strategic leverage in a region historically dominated by the U.S. However, Trump's claims are not without controversy. While his rhetoric appeals to nationalist sentiments and underscores the strategic importance of the canal, critics question the feasibility and wisdom of such a move. Reclaiming the canal would not only violate international law, but also risk damaging U.S.-Panama relations and further complicate global trade. Additionally, it's worth noting that the 1977 treaty, while controversial at the time, was widely seen as a step toward rectifying historical injustices and fostering better relations with Latin America. From an analytical perspective, Trump's position on the Panama Canal reflects his broader approach to foreign policy. A mix of populist rhetoric, economic nationalism, and skepticism toward multilateral agreements. His focus on China's influence in Panama underscores the growing rivalry between the two superpowers, particularly in regions like Latin America, where the U.S. has traditionally held sway. Ultimately, the Panama Canal remains a critical artery of global commerce, symbolizing both the potential of human ingenuity and the complexities of international relations. Its history serves as a reminder of the delicate balance between sovereignty, economic interests, and geopolitical strategy. Whether Trump's remarks will lead to concrete actions or remain political posturing, the canal's future will undoubtedly continue to shape debates about power, control, and cooperation on the global stage. The Panama Canal, a vital artery of global trade and a symbol of engineering prowess, continues to be a focal point in U.S.-Panama relations. Since the Treaty of 1977, the canal's history has been shaped by political, economic, and social upheavals, ultimately culminating in its full transfer to Panama. However, recent tensions, exacerbated by economic factors and geopolitical concerns, have reignited debates about its management and international significance. Former U.S. President Donald Trump's outspoken advocacy for a potential U.S. takeover of the canal has brought these issues to the forefront. After the 1977 treaty was signed, the U.S.-Panama relationship evolved under complex circumstances. At the time, Panama was under a military dictatorship, which the U.S. initially tolerated due to strategic ties during the Cold War. General Manuel Noriega, the last dictator, even had connections with the CIA. However, as Noriega's regime became increasingly authoritarian and his involvement in drug trafficking and money laundering surfaced, U.S. support waned. Tensions reached a boiling point in 1989 when Noriega annulled an election that would have removed him from power. His regime's brutality, combined with growing opposition from within Panama and abroad, set the stage for a dramatic confrontation. The tipping point came on December 16, 1989, when Panamanian forces killed a U.S. Marine at a roadblock. 4 days later, the U.S. launched Operation Just Cause, deploying 27,000 soldiers and 300 aircraft to overthrow Noriega. While the operation successfully dismantled Noriega's regime in under 6 weeks, it was not without controversy. Critics, including the UN General Assembly and the European Parliament, condemned the invasion as a violation of international law. The U.S. justified its actions by citing the need to protect American citizens, combat drug trafficking, and safeguard the canal. While the invasion resulted in civilian casualties and significant destruction, it also paved the way for Panama's transition to democracy. Following the U.S. intervention, Panama abolished its military, a move that remains unique in the region. This decision, partly influenced by U.S. recommendations, reflected the widespread disillusionment with the military after years of dictatorship. Today, Panama relies on civilian forces for internal security and benefits from its strategic partnership with the U.S., which has pledged to defend the country in the event of an external threat. Over the past 3 decades, Panama has experienced remarkable economic growth, much of which is attributed to its stewardship of the canal. After gaining full control in 1999, Panama implemented significant upgrades to the canal's infrastructure, including the construction of a new lane with larger locks to accommodate modern vessels. These improvements have enhanced the canal's capacity and reinforced its position as a critical component of global trade. With a GDP per capita nearing $20,000, Panama has achieved high-income status, further solidifying its economic success. Despite these achievements, modern challenges have emerged, particularly regarding the economic dynamics of the canal. Nearly 15,000 ships transit the canal annually, with 74% of cargo either originating from or destined for the United States. This heavy reliance underscores the canal's importance to U.S. commerce, as it accounts for 40% of the country's total container traffic. However, the rising cost of tariffs has strained relations. In 2022, the average toll was $54,000, but this figure varied significantly based on vessel size and type. Medium tankers faced tolls nearing $300,000, while large gas carriers paid over $500,000. Additionally, the limited availability of transit slots has driven some tolls even higher, with up to 30% of slots sold at auction for exorbitant prices. These economic pressures have fueled frustrations in the U.S., where companies argue that rising tariffs hurt their competitiveness. Trump's criticism of Panama's management of the canal reflects broader concerns about its efficiency and fairness. He contends that the increasing costs in Panama's growing ties with China violate the spirit of the 1977 treaty, which emphasized neutrality and equitable access for all nations. China's investments in Panama, part of its broader Belt and Road Initiative, have heightened U.S. anxieties about Beijing's influence in the region. While Trump's calls for a U.S. takeover of the canal resonate with nationalist sentiments, they also raise critical questions. Reasserting control over the canal would likely violate international law and risk destabilizing U.S.-Panama relations. Moreover, it would contradict the progress made in fostering a cooperative and mutually beneficial partnership since the canal's transfer. From an analytical perspective, the current tensions surrounding the Panama Canal reflect the broader challenges of balancing national interests with global commitments. The canal's history serves as a reminder of the complex interplay between sovereignty, economics, and geopolitics. While the issues raised by Trump warrant attention, any resolution must consider the canal's historical legacy, its role in global trade, and the principles of international cooperation that underpin its operations. In conclusion, the Panama Canal remains a testament to human ingenuity and a vital link in the global supply chain. Addressing the modern challenges it faces will require careful diplomacy, respect for historical agreements, and a commitment to fair and efficient management. As the world continues to grapple with shifting geopolitical landscapes, the canal's future will undoubtedly remain a topic of significant debate and strategic importance. The Panama Canal, a vital artery of global trade and a symbol of engineering prowess, continues to be a focal point in U.S.-Panama relations. Since the Treaty of 1977, the canal's history has been shaped by political, economic, and social upheavals, ultimately culminating in its full transfer to Panama. However, recent tensions, exacerbated by economic factors and geopolitical concerns, have reignited debates about its management and international significance. Former U.S. President Donald Trump's outspoken advocacy for a potential U.S. takeover of the canal has brought these issues to the forefront. After the 1977 treaty was signed, the U.S.-Panama relationship evolved under complex circumstances. At the time, Panama was under a military dictatorship, which the U.S. initially tolerated due to strategic ties during the Cold War. General Manuel Noriega, the last dictator, even had connections with the CIA. However, as Noriega's regime became increasingly authoritarian and his involvement in drug trafficking and money laundering surfaced, U.S. support waned. Tensions reached a boiling point in 1989 when Noriega annulled an election that would have removed him from power. His regime's brutality, combined with growing opposition from within Panama and abroad, set the stage for a dramatic confrontation. The tipping point came on December 16, 1989, when Panamanian forces killed a U.S. Marine at a roadblock. 4 days later, the U.S. launched Operation Just Cause, deploying 27,000 soldiers and 300 aircraft